lawsuit that was filed that, according to the president, the organization that published that is actually trying to currently settle. So just to clarify. But aside from that, I wanted to actually ask Mr. Min a question, if he's here still, if he would be willing to vote for a contempt in the Clintons if they refuse to come in and testify on a fine of about $1,000 a day until they comply with the subpoena. But I don't know if he's here. Is he still here? No. Okay. Well, I think that that's just something to consider. We have the ability to do those fines, and I think that that needs to be considered, especially if, optically there is reason for pause for Democrats not wanting to vote for that based on the fact that President Clinton was a former president. I understand the optics of that, and I also understand re-elections. However, nonetheless, the Clintons are defying a subpoena. So sometimes financially, people can be motivated, especially if there's a fine, and that's something that we actually all reserve the right to vote on. And I think that that's actually a very good option, especially being that most Americans would go to jail for defying subpoenas. And so I do not think that there needs to be any special accommodations made, especially given the nature of this. But I do think that that can be a tool to motivate. So I'd like to suggest that to you, Chairman Comer, also to you, Ranking Member Garcia, that would be a good method that we specifically reserve if we choose to use alternative means of contempt.
Representative, would you yield to me for a question?
Yes.
So it seems like you're open to changing this, what we're voting on today, so that way we can get to a place where we actually hear from them. Is that right? Is that what I'm hearing?
What I want, yes, I would like to have the Clintons coming into Congress to give a transcribed deposition. Yeah. I think that Chairman Comer has made that clear, but I also think having just Garcia and Comer drive all the way up to New York without that, I think that optically that sends a very bad message as the separation of powers and authorities Congress has. And then I also too think that it's kind of a slap in the face to people that typically would not have those accommodations made for them. Yeah. With that also, being a part of this, I think that, Bill Clinton specifically said he wants the files to be released. And I think that we also need to consider the fact that there is a judge. I know Mr. Garcia disagrees with me on this, but based on the email that I have seen on Judge Paul Engelmeyer, if you have someone that is ordering the DOJ to do a second scan of the files, if it's politically motivated, that's impeding an investigation. And I'm tired of judges, if they get involved in investigations in Congress, trying to obstruct. And so I just putting this out there, I'm going to be trying to impeach that judge unless he can basically give a waiver, let the DOJ release the files immediately.
Yeah, and just real quick, I just want to say on the general thing, I agree. I mean, I think it would be best if the ranking member and chair can huddle and figure out how we can change it so we can actually hear from them. Because my concern, too, and the other thing is there's no faster way to make sure that we never actually hear from them in person than moving forward a criminal contempt that says put them in jail. I mean, we're just not going to hear from them for our investigation. And so, I mean, I agree if they can come to something to figure out how can we move forward in a way where we're actually, there's a pathway to hear from them. I'm for that. So
to be clear, I do not agree with what the Clintons are doing. Okay, and I think that they need to come in here to explain. But I do think that when you go after someone's pocketbook, I think that they quickly change their tune, and I think that they might be compelled to come in. I also don't want to set the precedence, though, that just because you're a president means you're outside of this, justice. That's basically what it would be doing. And so, Chairman, I will let you direct the ship on this, but that is my suggestion.
Thank you. Chair recognizes Ms. Ansari.
Thank you. I'm going to start by yielding to the ranking member.
Thank you. And I want to just respond to Ms. Luna and Mr. Maxwell as well. Just to be clear, I think two things can be true. It can be true that we want to hear from the Clintons and that it's important that we hear from them and that we want to enforce our subpoena. I think it can also be true that they have also begun clearly making efforts to answer questions by declaration, to negotiate coming in, to give testimony. They've made offers to obviously be in, their initial offer was to do that testimony outside of Washington, D.C. with the leadership of the committee and staff. They have been open to transcription. And so I just want to re-emphasize that I think there is room here to continue to negotiate and get the testimony that we need. In addition, I am incredibly thankful that we're finally moving forward on ensuring that Ghislaine Maxwell come before this committee, that we're going to get Pam Bondi finally in front of this Congress. We need to release the files, get that testimony, and of course ask the questions that this committee has of President Clinton. I think that is all fair, and I hope that's the direction that we end up moving in. Thank you. Ms. Ansari.
Thank you. Given much of what we've heard today, and especially in light of some of the hypocrisy that we've heard today, I just want to walk through the timeline of Donald Trump's cover-up of the Epstein files, because